Welcome back to the program. I want to talk about something a little bit different today. We could be talking about how great Pam Bondi did, all the gotcha questions that she was able to make them all look like fools. We could talk about, Pistol Pete Hegseth and how great he's doing, and Marco Rubio's opening statement. We could talk about all that. Or you could learn about it just by going and looking at the videos yourself. So I want to kind of cover something that no one else is talking about. There's been some rumors out there, and I've gotten some tidbits of information, and I'm trying to put it all together. But what I am finding is that there is a billionaire couple by the name of Lynda and Stewart Resnick, multi-billionaires, that own huge amounts of water in California. This is part of that story and how they stole, and I'm going to use those words, stole the water rights away from the people of California, made huge profits, and sold them back to the people. Unreal. How this billionaire couple stole California's water supply. In a series of secret meetings in 1994, the Resnick family of California seized control of California's public water supply. Now they've built a business empire and on the backs of the people that need the water the most. Let's see here. So, let's go into right here. The Resnicks are the biggest farmers in California. As of 2007, they own the equivalent of 4 San Francisco's worth of farmland. Nearly half of Americans buy at least one of their products. Their pistachio nuts, their pomegranate juice, their mandarin oranges, and even their flowers. And it's all under one massive umbrella. It's called the Wonderful Company, a privately owned company worth at least $5 billion. Now, this article was written in December of 2022, so way before the wildfires. So I want to make sure that people understand that, okay? This is the classroom from A More Perfect Union, and today we are looking at how the Resnicks got rich from exposing themselves as these water bearers, basically, and of course doing it at the expense of the people of California. Lynda is a former child actress, the daughter of Jack Harris, a successful movie distributor of the 1950s, most well known for the movie The Blob. At 19, she founded her own advertising agency, and in her early 20s, Lynda actually did something pretty cool. She assisted in the leak of the Pentagon Papers, the Department of Defense documents that show just how cravenly evil the United States' actions in the Vietnam War era were. Now, this is also from an organization called aperfectunion.us, okay? I want to make sure that you understand that this is left-leaning media that is reporting that, okay? So I wanted to kind of start with that. Stewart was born to a middle-class New Jersey family and started her first business, a janitorial service, in grad school. Eventually acquired a business, American Protection Services, a burglar alarm and security company. Lynda approached them about marketing services for their company, and apparently they hit it off, not knowing that one day they would be working together to take over most of California's water supply. The Lovebirds, Stewart and Lynda, met and became business partners. They bought Teleflora, the flower delivery company, and the Franklin Mint, purveyors of inane little tchotchkes. Lynda was the marketing genius and person behind the scenes, and Stewart was in charge of all of the businesses. Lynda told the LA Times in 1993, quote, "I've always said that Stewart and I worked together make one perfect union, like a little salt and pepper shaker." In the late 1980s, they found their primary industry, agriculture. They got into the pistachio nut business. "We've done more for the pistachio than anyone ever since it was planted in the Garden of Eden. My husband and I should be canonized for all the work that we have done," end quote. They started branching into other products such as almonds, pomegranates, citrus, wine, and acquiring more and more land to cover it all, including some very important land in Kern County, which granted them water rights in the area. Not just water rights, 57% water rights. As the Resnicks were building their empire, the state of California was building new water infrastructure with taxpayer money. California's natural water supply is very inconsistent. Vastly differing amounts of rainfall means that the state can go from a surplus to a drought and back in very short order. So they built water banks to store water during surpluses to have during droughts. One important storage facility is the Kern Water Authority Bank, started in 1988. The facility was built with hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, which could have been a good thing. The people of California would have owned the water supply, but of course they did not. You see, these rich billionaires won't use their own money. No, they'll cry poverty, they'll go to the government, and they'll say, here's what we want to do, and we want you, the taxpayers, to pay for it. But there were two Californians a little thirstier than the rest, and they wanted more and more water. Lynda and Stewart Resnick, and they had a lot of political power to get the job done. In 1994, state water officials, water infrastructure contractors, and agricultural landowners with water rights arranged a secretive meeting at a resort in Monterey Bay, California. These groups, a mix of private industry, companies, and public agencies, rewrote California's water laws without any input from any voters, from any taxpayers, or from the California legislatures. The new laws, called, quote, the Monterey Plus Agreement, or the Monterey Amendments, were devastating for working Californians and great for agricultural billionaires such as the Resnicks. The original law had urban preference, a long-standing rule that in times of droughts, the State Water Board would give urban areas where people live the most access to state water supplies before agricultural interests. Monterey axed that completely. That meant that in times of a drought, the water systems for normal Californians would have to buy back the water from these private companies because they weren't getting it from the state anymore. So what did they do? They basically rewrote the laws and they said, we are now the water bearers, we are now the Aquarius, we are the water barons for California, and if you want water, you gotta come through us, which again is illegal. Then it goes on to say this. The new agreement also loosened regulations on, quote, paper water. That's water that doesn't necessarily actually exist anywhere but on paper. The full quantities of water that providers could have but don't actually need to have, today it would be 5 times as much water has been promised and sold as actually even exists. And importantly, the meeting changed ownerships of the Kern Water Bank. What once belonged to the state was transferred over to a few private water contractors, one of which was Westside Mutual, a wholly owned subsidiary of, you guessed it, the Wonderful Company and the Resnicks. The wonderful employees who ran Westside, Bill Phillimore, is the chairman of the public organization that manages the Kern Water Authority, which the Resnicks own 57% of. Boom, there it is. One secret meeting with the Resnicks, and now they own 57% of all the important California water resources, built with hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money. The new ownership, combined with the rules on paper and surplus water, meant that during times of droughts, the Resnicks could sell Kern Water Authority back to the state water systems for huge profits. They took Californians' taxpayers' water and sold it back to them at huge profits, both literally as the water supply and also to grow expensive food like gourmet pistachios and pomegranate juice. They converted the people's water into products that many could no longer afford. And that's just one water bank. The Resnicks also have control of other water boards and have been sued for directing more water towards their properties and away from the rest of the city folk. So how do they get away with this Chinatown level chicanery? Well, a lot of this. That's how they did it. The Resnicks donated millions and millions of dollars to Democrat politicians and, of course, research institutions, which helped them secure control over the water systems. And they even get more water and more taxpayer funding. So taxpayers in California that have no water in their hydrants, that have no water to fight these fires, are paying the Kern Water Authority and the Resnicks to have water, but there is no water because we're in a drought, and guess who has all the water? Lynda and Stewart Resnick. That's right. These two scumbags. They are the ones that have the water. Do the millionaires and billionaires in Hollywood know this, in Pacific Palisades Park and Pasadena and elsewhere? Probably not. But you know what? You know who does know? Gavin Newsom. That's for damn sure. How do we know that? Well, because this family, the Resnicks, donated $250 million to stop the recall efforts when they were trying to recall Gruesome Newsom. These are huge, liberal, leftist water bearers that donate to Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, the entire California Assembly, and all Democrats, okay? And quite frankly, probably give a lot of money to the peoples whose homes just burned down. Hollywood idiots and other politicians in California, from the Pelosi's to the Feinsteins to the Schiffs to who knows how many others. I gotta throw my pen for Carl. And so that's where we are at. And again, this was in 2022. So I've heard even some more terrible things, that they purposely were pressuring Los Angeles to divert more and more and more water to their farms for their businesses rather than have it go to the public. The Resnicks are evil, evil people. And I don't care what the fake fact checkers say out there. These people are in control. They are water bearers. They are water barons. They are water pirates. And they are responsible in some capacity, not all, but in some capacity, for what's happening with the wildfires and the fact that there's no water to put out these fires. Yes, it's incompetence, but it's also very much intentional. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.